Right.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gary Maisch, welcome to Surfing Stuff. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, my bro. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
And how's it, man? What's going on?
Lekker. Thanks, Carl. No, cool. Lekker to speak to you. Good to see you again too.
It's been a while, eh? Yeah. She was. Yes, Gary. Well, stock standard question, opening question. Everybody's heard of the Maisches in South African surfing. That's a given. We know that. When and where did it all start for you, Gary? Take us back to that time. When and where did it all start? Eh?
Okay, well, I was actually born we're from Toti originally.
Okay.
So my parents are from Toti, and my grandparents, well, from my dad's side, they were from Toti. Tom, that's my dad's father. He was the treasurer of Manson Toti Municipality.
Wow. Okay.
So I was born in Edinburgh. So I'm actually a Durban, okay? But anyway,
yeah.
I went to, and that's when my dad started boards in basically Warner Beach area, Kingsway, in '67, I think. I was born in '69. And then I went to class 1 and class 2 up to class, in class 2 I left in Toti Junior Primary.
Okay.
That's just, and then I went to, obviously, Port Shepstone Junior Primary down here.
Okay.
And, that's how I basically started. That's where we came from. My dad, my mom, there were 4 people that bought the piece of land in the back of Mzumbi.
Okay.
In the sticks, I think they were all like hippies. They wanted to get away from society, self-sustaining, like a farm. We didn't have electricity. We had a generator.
Okay.
And he had a surfboard factory, making surfboards. We had horses, goats, chickens, lots of farm animals. We did cash crops, and he made surfboards at the same time. Getting away. And then, that's how I grew up, basically. And I think my dad travelled quite a bit to look for a place to stay initially. I think they went all the way down to the Cape and have a look around there. I think it's in the Wedge history on the website. They decided here. I think they liked the waves here. And we actually used to camp on like one plot of land in Mzumbi near Sharks Bay, the end plot there. We used to actually camp there.
Okay.
Come down on weekends, and then. Then he built everything on the piece of land and nothing on it, and he built everything on here. And I think I did start surfing a little bit in Toti.
Okay.
Initially, and then the main place I think I learned to surf properly was on the coast here.
Okay, so that'll be Mzumbi or Pumula, Gary, or which beach exactly? Do you remember?
Mzumbi Beach mainly. We got, like, our coastline here is, like, pretty tight, so if you jump in from, if you take from Sandwich Port to the spots, you could be anywhere in 15, 20 minutes in that area, but I would say that Mzumbi was the main one, just because that Mzumbi that was, like the biggest, longest point out. Before GPRSs,
okay.
Ships used to come past and take a marker off Stabell Point, Mzumbi Point, to get around Ellerville Shoal.
Oh, right.
They used to come to the point and change direction, and then they used to go out to sea to get around it. That was before GPRSs and all that. So it's a long point. So whatever wind would blow, if the east would blow, you go to Sharks Bay.
Okay.
And then the west would blow, you go to Mzumbi side. So it was a versatile wave, you could, whatever the wind's blowing, you could actually get a wave there any day, and that's where I grew up, I suppose, and I was fortunate enough to grow up on a small holding, which when I used to come back from school, it was like we had motorbikes, and at that time it was like we were left to our own devices, so after school, I suppose I used to go bug around in the workshop or go ride a motorbike, and then my dad would finish work at like 4 or something, and then he'd go down to the beach and we'd go surf, almost every day. And then weekends, we would go camping or wherever, as lighties by ourselves on the beaches and that, which was pretty cool. and the other thing is, which was lekker, was that we had the train line. So, and it was pretty, the trains, it worked, basically. The train lines worked in those days. So every hour or hour and a half, we had a train coming past. So we would go as like 12-year-olds and jump on a train. And because the train line goes along the coast, we used to like jump in, and if it goes towards Hebridean, as we're going on the train, we'd look what the way was like at Hebridean and go, no, let's go to the spots. Get the driver to stop at the spot. We used to go surf there and then tell him like, hey, in 2 hours time or whatever, when the train's coming back, just stop, we'll jump back on. And then we used to jump back on the train and come back to Mzumbi.
No way, screw.
And then, yeah, it was easy. And then also we could do it the other way. We could go up to Banana, or Sunwedge. So the train basically travelled all the way from Port Shepstone, and then it went all the way to Scottsboro. And then that's where there was a changeover. And then you'd get on another train and then go to Durban. I used to catch the train to Durban often by myself.
No way.
In those days, Yeah, so it did take longer. It took about 3 hours or something to get to Durban, but you got there,
And that train's obviously not going anymore, obviously, eh? Or is it?
No, it's buggered. I think there's a couple of bridges and lines still from the floods that have to be repaired, and it's overgrown now, actually, way overgrown. Spoornet's finished on the coast, that's for sure. That was my growing up, I suppose. And then obviously we had bicycles, and we used to ride down to the beach, and then when we turned like 16, we all got motorbikes. The crew of oaks, we all got 50s, so we were called the Nifty 50 crew.
Oh, yeah.
And then you could take your board, and then we could go anywhere we wanted to the spot. We used to go to all the way down to, Port Edward if we wanted with our boards, and, everywhere. You could just drive around with your 50,
Jeez.
So that was lekker, so it was very user-friendly then, and it was safe then, I suppose. Our parents didn't really bother with us, if we wanted to go somewhere, we just let them know, oh, we're going here. No, that's fine, go. It wasn't, I suppose, a worry,
Yes, that's like a different lifetime ago, bro.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it's just,
no mobile phones either back then too.
Say again, sorry?
No mobile phones at all.
No mobile phones. Yeah. No, you couldn't let the secret out, eh? You couldn't let the those were the days where, like, if the banks were good somewhere, you didn't let that secret out.
Yes, see,
they were your gun for you if you let the secret out.
Wow. So okay,
no, it was good.
And then Gary. So this bleeds into my next question here. So now you're living on the farm. You're down on the coast there, Mzumbi. You got the trains. You got everything at your disposal. You got all these breaks. What was your first custom board that you got? Was it your bully that made it, or did you get it from Safari, or whoever was the main shape at the time? So what was your first custom, Gary?
No, well, my dad made my first board. He was already starting to make boards. I think in the garage at his parents' house. And then what I can remember, it was a single fin red. I think it had a red rails or red bottom and rails with a black fin line, black fin, and two racing stripes, down the stringer.
Okay.
And it was I can sort of remember riding it a bit. I think that was at Toshi times, and then obviously I moved on to like shorter, wider boards, but it wasn't a big single fin. It was like quite a small. I can't remember the size. I was trying to look for it, but I don't know what happened. That thing must have got sold.
Okay.
And then I was fortunate enough. My dad made boards, so I was getting like boards pretty often. I started shaping when I was in school still. I was I'd mess around in the workshop. I'd just watch my dad, what he was doing. Then I'd start shaping like a board, take my time. And by the age when I was 13, I was already making boards for my friends.
Wow.
And I was doing everything. I was doing from shaping the board, spraying the board, laminating, it was spraying the board, laminating, sanding, blasting the fins on. So I would do like maybe one a month or something for one of my friends, you know.
Okay.
When I was from the age of 13 upwards. And then I would my dad had a whole lot of, like he taught quite a few shapers actually. He taught, like when he was in Toti, like Glenn Darcy, I don't know where Glenn Darcy is originally from, but he almost like worked with he came up for December and worked with my dad, and my dad taught him, and like he carried on, he shaped a bit for my dad. There's like one Aussie guy, South African Aussie guy, I think the Maisch Fins.
Okay.
He learned to shape with my dad. He made boards there.
No way.
Even Lyle Coney. Lyle Coney was, so what I was trying to say is that like a lot of shapers came through, even though we're in the sticks, came through this area. You know, Lyle Coney was, he worked for Telkom.
Okay.
Him and, I think it was John Porteous. They started Country Rhythm Surfboard. So when Lyle was still working for Telkom and that, he would like shape a board, he would bring the board, my dad would show him, you know, on the shape, like what he must do, and sort of there's bumps or whatever in the shaping bay, and then Lyle would take it, and that's how Lyle basically started.
Okay.
You know, he had a job, and then he started fidgeting. I think he originally came from Scotgrove. I might be mistaken.
Okay.
And then, so what I was going to say is that, and then even Mark Spart came and worked here for a bit. And we had Wayne, a New Zealand guy. He came and worked here for a bit, shaping, and glossing and spraying. So what I was trying to say I was like, you know, I was in the mix. You know, I was picking up, you know, watching, seeing how it was happening, and then basically learning how to shape from there. And then, so I was making boards when I was really young.
Okay.
You know. And I was lucky there, in that sense, very lucky to have that around.
Gee whiz, you know, you're saying that the likes of Mark Spowett. I mean, when I was chatting to Greg Swart a couple of weeks ago, you know, Spowie came up in our conversation too. And I had no idea that he spent some time with your dad in the shaping bay. That's amazing, man. Wow.
Yeah, I think that was the time when he came back. He was a fully fledged shaper by then. He was it was the time when he came back from Japan.
Okay.
So he was in between. I think I'm not too sure where he worked. I think he might have worked with Lyle before, and I think after he worked it. But I think he was looking for work, and my dad said, "Just come along and shape." And then I think he that's when he connected with Swen Bickström.
Okay.
And then they started making down boards down Ramsgate side.
Yeah, we're Rocky Ridges now. If you walk up the back there's the old shaping bay there.
Yeah, so that's where I think they connected, and then they started. I think he started making boards there, and then he moved on down to. I think he went to J Bay and over. He went to the UK and you know, carried on with his journey. You know.
Wow.
But he was here for a little bit. You know. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
man.
yeah,
okay.
it was good.
And then, so Gary, so your old man shaped your first stick, and then when did you start riding your own boards? Was that when you were like a teenager, Gary?
Yeah, I was still So I'm trying to remember now when I was. I made my own boards when I was in school. Still. Okay. So my dad would shape like one or two, you know, and then like I would shape one or two. And then I basically started in school making like boards called Wave Weapon.
Okay.
And that was my brand sort of thing. Well, what is it? But I only made a couple. Well, I don't know how many I actually made. I didn't count them. But so I can't remember what. I think from the age of 13 onwards, I was basically writing my own boards and my dad's boards. And then my dad basically started making a lot of fins. So that's when that fin industry, the windsurfing industry, took off, and they were looking for guys that could make fins, and that's when the export really started for my dad, was making fins. So he started making fins because all those days there was glass on fins. So he started making glass on fins for basically all the manufacturers in South Africa, surfboard manufacturers, and then from then it spilled into windsurfing fins, and then it was like exporting fins, longboard fins, windsurfing fins, and then the Asian countries caught up, the Chinese companies, and that they obviously got their technology and their techniques right, and then basically that fizzled out probably about 15 years ago, 15, 20 years. Because what it came down to was the rand devalued, so our rand was pretty strong in the 80s, going into the 90s when the change happened, everything happened, and then the rand devalued badly, and then our materials became very expensive.
Okay.
So, because most of the materials most of the materials on a surfboard are imported.
Yeah, sure.
The cloth is imported, the foam the chemicals are imported, the leash plugs might get made here, the fin boxes are all imported. The resins are made here, but it's a petroleum-based product, so it's dollar-based, So everything is expensive. So when that happened, the price of boards basically didn't shift more expensive. They slowly crept up, but the material costs became exorbitant,
Yeah.
So that's where the fins cost more to make, just on the material costs, and that sort of worked against us,
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Maisch Fins is still going today, if I'm correct, Gary?
Yeah, no, they're going over. Justy's taken over.
Okay.
So he basically runs the fin section.
Okay.
But I mean, we know, it's pretty hard now.
Okay.
I'd say there's a lot of manufacturers. There's even in South Africa. There's about, I know of like 2 that make handmade fins. I think there's 2 or 3 that I know of that actually make the fins the same way we do. And then obviously the molded fins came in, like the likes of Scopini. There was gas fins, and there's a couple other places like you can get cheap fins. You can buy cheap fins imported from Asia. It's probably like less than half price of what we charge.
Wow.
I mean, initially about, you could say about 8 years ago, I mean, we were getting like emails once a month at least from Chinese companies, and they're going, this is what you make. Whatever you make, we can come in at half price. That's they come out with the email like that. They say, we know what you're making. Here the fins. Here are priceless. It's half your price. We can make the same product. They're trying to get business from us, like get Maisch Fins made in China. So yeah.
Yes.
It's a tight market. It's a tight market.
Wow. Jeez. Okay, Gary, I wanna that whole surfboard building fins thing is, wow, what a topic. I want to move on quickly, Gary, and change the topic completely. So now you're a Lati, you're growing up on the lower south coast, you're in Mzumbi, you're living on the farm there, you got your brothers, and it's happy days and all this good stuff. Who were your main surfing, or who was your surfing hero? Who was the poster boy in your bedroom, doing an off the top or a barrel ride? Who was the oak for you that you went, hey man, I want to surf like him?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that because I'm a goofy, so the goofy footers were, I suppose, the most influenced then. So I would say like the likes of like Oki, maybe Tom Carroll,
okay.
And they were all doing good, guys like Ronnie Burns, Dave McCauley, Damon Hardman, even he surfed really well. The raw energy, powerhouses, that surfed, at that time. Yeah, they were pretty, I thought they surfed, yeah. And like Tom Curran, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
He's like, at that time he was like top. Yeah, I mean, look, I admire any other that surfs really well, but like obviously if you want to like you focus and watch a video and you're going to go, okay, well, I want to do a turn like that, you're going to be watching, as a QB footer, you're going to be watching like like Hockey or Tom Carroll, basically. Okay. I think, that was, I think, yeah, that's what I aspired to, for sure.
Yes, when I hear Oki and Tom Carroll, especially Oki, I think of the Green Iguana and Pump. You remember those Billabong movies that came out in the 90s, eh? Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but suck on those the night before, before you go for, you're going to get good waves tomorrow.
Yes, bro. And then, okay, cool. And then Gary, you've just dropped some big names there. Now, take us on your. You did go overseas to Europe in the 80s. Have I got my story correct?
Yeah. In the 80. So I basically I matriculated in 86.
Okay.
Went to Navy 87, 88.
Where?
And 89. Say again?
Where did you go?
To Navy.
Oh, the Navy. Oh, you went to the Navy. Yes, I was like, what is this like saying? Yeah, the Navy. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I went to the Navy, did 2 years military service, which we had to at that time. And then I went on the European tour in 89, which was, and it was pretty, I went with like the likes of Davy Stoll, Kaz Collier.
Okay.
I think it was Michelle Hill. I'm trying to remember the chick's name that was with us. You know,
from Cape St. Francis.
Like, sort of like a team this spring. Say again. And
did you go with Michelle? Did you say Michelle Hill?
I think Michelle. I'm trying to remember her name now. I think she stays in the Transkei now. She's a really good surfer.
Okay.
I don't think she's related to the Hill family down at St. Francis.
Okay.
I'm trying to. I'll probably remember her name later. But I thought she had anyway, I'll remember later. But yeah, so we went over. We got like sort of. We didn't get sponsored. We just got accommodation from a French sort of tennis company that did I don't know what kind of energy drink or something. So we just got looked after when we got there. We paid our own way, and it was pretty good, eh? It was definitely an eye opener. You know, I'd surf Dunstons, I'd surf the Pro-Ams in South Africa and everything. So you get a taste of it, but when it's on like the full tour like that, it's pretty mind blowing. And that's when those years, that's when all those hot young Aussies came in. Slater was there I think in 1990. That was the first year that he competed in Europe.
Okay.
That's when Kelly Slater and Black and White came out.
Oh, I remember that movie.
That was.
Okay, we've got a bit of an interference here. Let me give Gary a call back. We will be back online shortly. Here we go. Let's call Gary one more time.
Sorry, Carl. I think I lost you. I don't know if it's mine or yours.
I'm not sure. It's probably mine, but it's okay. We're back online again. We're back online. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so like I was saying, so it was in 89 when I went over. So I did okay. I did fairly well. I did I think the first event was Lacanau. I made the main event.
Wow.
And I made a rookie mistake. I gave Mark Parsons a wave which I shouldn't have given him, and I lost that heat. So in those years, it was like had trials before the contest.
Okay.
So it wasn't now where you have to go through like 2 qualification sort of rounds and everything before you get onto the CT. There it was like almost just over a week event, and the first 3-4 days would be trials. Then you make it from the trials to the top 4 or 8 or something that make it into the main event, and then you surf against the top 24 in the world or whatever it was that they had there. So I made the main event from the first contest, but I was knocked out the first round. Mark Parsons beat me, unfortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, and it was good surf, you know. So I surfed first straw. I can't remember the contest if that was like a world tour event.
Okay.
But it might have been the European tour, because at that stage it was like South Africa had their own tour, and then you get the international contest. Then you get the international coming over, and then you had the trials to get into the VAT.
Okay.
So in Europe you had the European pro contest, and then you also had, there's my dog barking at something outside.
No,
then we had well, let me just cut it quick.
Okay.
Here it goes. So so the European tour was, and there were quite a few doing the European tour.
Okay.
The likes like quite a few Brazilians, quite a few Aussies.
Okay.
And then obviously you had the European oaks, the French, the English, the Spanish, and the Portuguese.
Okay.
You know, and it was, you know, the European standard was high, but not a lot of guys were really good. So the South Africans and there were some New Zealand guys too. So the Aussies and the Brazilians and South Africans did pretty well. You know, and they had like every 2 weeks they had a contest, and first prize at that time was like £1,000.
Wow.
You know?
Jeez, that must have been big chiggy-malingis in those days.
Yeah, and that was like '89. You know,
Okay.
so anyway, so I did well in the first event I did. I didn't make the main event down in Hossegor, and then in Barrix. I didn't do it there. Then we went down to Coates, which is in Portugal.
Okay.
That was that was the main event. We did surf Mandaka.
Okay.
Which was the EPSA event, the European Surfing Association event. But it wasn't a world tour event yet, you know, with the other O's that playing surf there.
Okay.
Actually, but actually, because the O's were around, they did surf these events too.
Okay.
So I mean, the one event, Mandaka, so that would have been, I don't know if it was 89 or 90. Mandaka was cranking. It was like, geez, it was, you know, in size, I would say it was 8 foot plus, 8 to 10 foot. Like if anyone been to Mandaka, there's like a small harbour there where the boats are put in.
Okay.
The swell was so big that the surge coming into the harbour and out the harbour, it broke the moorings of the boats.
No way.
So the boats were getting sucked into the liner, you know, and then. So I actually did very well at that contest, but I pulled another rookie mistake. There was this one local, I'm trying to remember, he's a big wave charger. So he was sitting, and I was basically winning the heat. I think I was in the semis. I think I got knocked out in the quarters or semis. And this, like, it was epic, you know, it's like epic big waves. Like, it's just this running train line, you know, it's just like this big early. You can do hooks underneath the lip, you can put in the barrel, or whatever you want to do on that wave, you know?
Jeez.
It's like an open canvas, like J-Bay going the other way, but a sandboard. So this guy was sitting deep in the bowl, dude, and I'm going, and there's like 3 minutes left in the heat, and I'm going, this is never going to go in this way. There's not a hell, dude. There's no, like, it's so deep, these skins are going to make this thing. Nah. So I turn and I go, yes, well, what a mistake. So as I'm taking off, this guy's taking, and you can see I'm paddling for the wave. So he probably knew. He's taking off in the bowl, and there's no ways he would have made it. Like, he made the drop, but he couldn't come around because it was just this big pit. And as he made the drop, I just saw him making the drop there. I'm paddling. I can't pull back now because this wave is like, I'm going, you know. So I flip and throw my board, and I go, like, basically over the falls, and all the guy does is lift his hands and, like, check this way. So I got knocked out. So I got knocked out. Yes, I was bummed out. So that contest, like, there was, like, the likes of Gary Elkerton and Wayne Lynch, and I think Tom came down, but he didn't surf it. Tom Curran. You know, and there was, that era there was, like, Morris Cole was, like, the best shaper in Europe because Tom was riding all his boards.
Okay.
You know, Tom Curran was riding with us. Tom Curran stayed there in France. So, like, and Morris was there and all his buddies and all the, like, so a lot of the pros actually came to Mandaka for.
Okay.
A lot of them didn't surf the contest, but a lot of them did surf the contest, you know.
Wow.
And then I did Peniche actually won.
Oh, really?
I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, the contest every now and then in Portugal. I won it. But it was a European circuit contest. And then I got second the second year I was there to Glenn Winton. And I just didn't beat him. The one barrel I just didn't come out of. If I just pumped a little bit more, I would have come out, I would have beaten him. So, and then in Portugal, that's where Coates. Yeah, I didn't make the main event there. But there were other contests. I surfed in the Canaries. I surfed 1 or 2 contests in the Canaries.
Okay.
So I travelled, did quite a few contests. I think I got second in the Canaries. I made a lot of finals, I must say. But I didn't, I only won, I think Peniche is the only one I won.
Okay.
You know, out of all of them that I got into the final. So I was lacking that spark.
Okay. So Gary, so let me just get the timeline right here. So you were doing the whole European thing in 1989 stroke 1990.
Yeah, those 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
And then I was doing the contest. I come back here. So it was the European tour started after the Gunston, basically, when it was the Gunston. So it was going into their spring, not their spring, sorry, their autumn.
All right. Okay.
So that was, going into their wintry time. So it was like our February. It would be their August, September, October. The nice time of the year in Europe, for surfing wise.
Yeah. And then Gary, sorry, I'm jumping in. You carry on there.
No, jump in. No, carry on. It's fine.
And then, Gary, so that's Europe. Just off the top of my head, did you make it over to Hawaii at all in your career?
No, I never travelled after that. I should have. I was just maybe a little bit too naive because I was, so I was paying for everything myself. So
okay, sure.
It was like, and a lot of South Africans were doing that. So it was like, hey, if you do one of those contests, you can go to the next contest because you got enough money to go. You got a return ticket home all the time, and you got enough money to get from where the return ticket is. So you always like trying to plan like see, and then it was like, I mean, the surf was good at that time. So and in Europe, like I think there was a gap between two contests, and all the guys went to Brazil. And I was traveling with like the likes of like Jeremy Biles, the one Aussie guy, and as I was saying, like all those hot young Aussies were coming through at that time. So there was Shane Powell, there was Josh Pometier, there was John Shamuka from Hawaii. There was like all those O's that started the tour at that time. Same time like I went on, but they had been doing the tour already.
Okay.
They had been to other countries and everything, So I was, and then when so I should have gone to Brazil because I had a gap and I could have gone to the embassy and got a visa and gone, but I didn't. I chose to go do a surf trip to Rondilis or something. I think go some fucking less in the forest, So I at that, that's maybe I should have pushed forward from there. And I was traveling with Dave Mulhervey then at that time too.
Okay.
And Tony Ray. And his brother, I think Michael Ray, I think it is.
Tony Ray. I met Tony Ray once. Okay, folks, Gary's phone's just clonked out again. Let me give him a ring and we'll get straight back onto that. Give us a moment. Oh, and it's ringing.
Back, Paul?
Yeah, I'm back again, bro. I'm back. We need... I can't stay away, bro.
I don't know which connection's breaking now. I don't know what it is.
But, it's probably mine.
You said you knew... You see Tony Ray or I think it's Michael Ray.
When I was in Hawaii in 2001 stroke 2002, I was at the supermarket by Waimea Bay. I forget what it's called. And I remember meeting Tony Ray. He was quite a short guy.
Okay.
And he was so cool, bro. If it's the same bloke, he was awesome. He was like, hey, how's it going? And I barely knew who he was, and we were just chatting in the queue. And then someone said, I don't know whether it was Llewellyn or someone said to me, oh, that's Tony Ray, bro. And I was like, no, what, Tony Ray? And in fact, I actually went, who's he, bro? I had no idea, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He was older. He was like but he had a typical Aussie kind of style, like a bit of an older school style.
Okay.
He surfed well,
He was a cool guy, man. Cool.
It was a good experience, basically in Europe. No, it was good. Really nice,
And then Gary, and then closer to home, did you ever? What was your highest placing in the Gunston?
Jeez, I don't know that.
Did you make finals or semis or anything like that in your time?
No, I wouldn't make. I probably made it to the top 16 or top 24 or something like that.
Okay.
I don't think I made it much further. I didn't really. That's why I didn't think that I was well, put it this way. When Slater, when you go okay, the first year I went to Europe, I did okay, and then the second year when I go there, and then the likes of guys like Chris Brown and Kelly Slater pitch up, and you go free surfing, and these guys jump in, or you surfing, and then these guys jump in, and then you see what they're doing, and you're going like, holy moly, bro. You know, like, how am I going to do that? And it was like, and then you got the likes of like Flavio Paravax, you know, the other goofy footer. He was a really good surfer. I think he is still. He was like really, really good, you know. You know, you see that and you go, like, geez, bro, that's the standard you've got to get to. It's like, it's quite like daunting, that, you know, when you. So in my mind, I didn't feel like I had enough, you know, to get to that level at that time.
Okay.
You know. So that's why I slowly, like, you know, I don't really know if I'm going to be able to do this, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, that's where I had a little bit of doubt. Maybe I doubted myself a bit, you know.
Okay, sure.
But I mean, they had the air game going, which was like, I didn't have any air game. You know, they already advanced that. Like Kelly was, I mean, he's a freak, yes. Now we know he's a freak. At that time, you didn't know he was a freak because it was the first, like, that was the year that Curran just beat him, I think, in the quarters or the semis.
Okay.
At the Hossegor Pro. I think it was the Hossegor contest. So, and that was my first, like, experience seeing a surfer like that. And, like, you surfing with him, and he's, like, you doing, like, 3-4 turns, and he takes off, and he's doing, like, an air reverse, going into, like, a big tail slide into a roundhouse cutback, and does another turn afterwards. You know, and you're going, yes, bro. I'm going to do that. And it's like, so it was a bit like, you know, like, anyway, a little bit daunting, that's for sure. You know, to try and get to that level. And competing is kind of hard. It's mental, you know. Surfing is 50% mental anyway. But when you're going into a contest and you've got to beat a guy, you're obviously, the only way you're going to beat that guy is with a lot of hard work, and you've got to be super in tune with the ocean and get all the sets and do the most you can on the set to beat a guy like Kelly, you know, at that stage, you know.
Okay.
And that's hard to do. That's flipping hard to do, you know, in 20 minutes.
No, sure. And then Gary, so the Gunstons, you kind of you never placed there. And what about like the SA Champs? Did you ever take home any titles, any Open titles or Masters titles? How did you fare in on that side of things, Gary?
Yeah, no, I won Masters twice.
Okay.
So again, I didn't in the Open. I didn't really surf Open much. Eh? I did surf it once or twice. But I didn't, I think at that time I was concentrating on shaping and things like that.
Okay.
And then afterwards, I surfed Masters. So I won Masters in, was it J-Bay? So it must have been 95.
Okay.
I think J-Bay, they had SHX in I think in 1995. And then I won Masters. I'm not too sure what age group that was at that time. And then, because they've changed the age groups now too. And then I won it at St. Mark's.
Okay.
One SH Champs there. So, you know, I made the final quite a few times, but I just didn't get to that, you know, the top of it. But I won it twice. I got 2 titles.
Yes, you say
which was pretty cool.
You're saying 1995. That's like 30 years ago, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're all getting old, bro.
Yeah. And Gary, going back to your shaping, let's talk about your shaping for a minute or two. Did you do Japan at all? Did you go to J-Bay and shape there? Did you go to Europe and shape? Let's talk a bit about your shaping,
no,
Gary.
I'd say majority of my shaping was done here.
Okay.
So I mean, I shaped obviously on the farm here for Wedge, and then I mean I shaped everywhere. I was like a freelance shaper.
Oh, right.
So at that time when I was shaping, I was there were no computer cuts.
Okay.
So I was a ghost shaper. So initially I shaped a lot for Lyle Coney. I shaped a lot for Lyle with export orders.
Wow.
I did windsurfers, surfboards, everything for him. I shaped for I did most guys in Durban. I did work for them. I shaped for Errol Hickman. I did a lot of his, not a lot. I did quite a few of his boards. Well, maybe 20. I shaped for Graham Smith.
Okay.
These are all mainly export orders, right?
Oh,
yeah.
right.
I worked for, I shaped boards for Spada. But the main one, I was PD. I worked for Peter Daniels for Surf Toy. So I think I worked there for 6 years plus, eh?
Wow.
So I was the ghost shaper for PD. I mean, when at his height of his career there, in all the search rip curl boards.
Okay.
Like I would say, I shaped half of them.
Wow.
They were exporting those rip curl search boards all around the world. You know, and then at that time, PD was traveling. So he would go to Europe twice a year, and then he would go to Japan once a year. So I was the ghost shaper that was covering for him when he was overseas and when he was here shaping. So we shaped a hell of a lot of boards there. But I shaped, yeah. And then in overseas, I did shape a bit in England. And I did shape a bit for Andrew Carter.
Okay. Wow.
I went down to Eastern. Yeah, I did shapes down to Andrew Carter. I shaped boards when I was in Navy, actually. I shaped boards for Kaz Surfboards, which was in Richards Bay.
Okay. I've heard of them.
Yeah, Kimo. And then so I shaped in England for a guy named Tim Mellows. He made boards there. When I was in Europe, I was like surfing. I got offered quite a few offers. I got offered to work in, I think, like 2 or 3 factories. I got an offer to work, this was ages ago, but I think I got an offer to work in Pucas. I got an offer to work in Collins Surfboards in Portugal. And, I just wasn't up to it. I just wanted to go surf.
Sure.
I was competing surfing. So when you're shaping and it's like you have to focus on the shaping for. You'd hardly surf when you're working, unless you stay really close to a surf break,
Okay, yeah.
So it would have been good for me to shape there actually, because then my name would have got out. Because at that time, when I did the tour, and that there weren't a lot of. There were a couple actually. There was Glenn Winton shaped his own boards.
Okay.
And there were. I don't know if there were any other. Chris Gallagher. I think Chris Gallagher shaped his own boards.
Okay.
And so when those those check your boards out and they go, who shaped the board? And you go like, oh, I shaped it. And they look at you and they go, what? Oh, okay. And they're almost interested. They want to order a board. So there was interest. There was like a lot of interest at that time, and I'm just going, no, I'm not going to shape your board. I'm sorry, I can't. So I'm surfing now. I want to surf the contest, But it was. So I didn't shape production shaping overseas a lot,
Okay.
I was a production shaper, but mainly in South Africa.
Okay.
So.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Gee whiz. And Gary, did you ever get your Springbok colours? Were you ever a Bok XA?
No, I went to a couple of trials.
Yeah.
I think I ran out of steam a lot of times. But my brothers, Jason and Justin, they got their Springbok colours. They surfed in Brazil. They surfed the world champs in Brazil for South Africa.
Yeah, I remember Justy being on that team. Yeah, 1994. I think I was in standard 8 at Sheppey Hard. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because your Butty was a year. Your Butty was a year or two ahead of me at Sheppey, I think.
But was he still? I don't think wasn't he out of school by then, or was he still in school when he went?
No,
I can't remember.
No, bro.
That's awesome.
He could have been in matric or just fresh out of school. He must have or something. Yeah, something like it. Yeah. Anyway, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
Yeah. No. So I didn't. But I went to trials a couple of times. I just didn't seem to crack the nut there. I think I failed. But anyway, it was all good.
Yes. And Gary, listen. Seeing as I've got you on the line here, it would be. The interview wouldn't be complete without talking a little bit about your mom and her involvement in surfing, Southern Natal. Can we talk about Lynn for a couple of moments and what she achieved in surfing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So she was, she had a stroke. geez, it would have been like 40 years ago she had a stroke. So, but like she was fully involved with the surfing, I think, even with like localism and Southern Natal, right from like the word go, you know.
Okay.
I think even when Tim Millwood was chairman of Southern Natal, she was involved there. You know, so she was there right from the beginning. She was a totalizer.
Okay.
She always helped out, and she was a treasurer for a while. Same as localism, she was always there. And she totalized a lot of at the Gunston and then at the Belita Pro.
Okay.
She was totalized. So she, she was at most contests, and all of a sudden the top trials, she was always there totalizing. So she was like a strong warhorse, you know. It's like really put a time in there, you know. No, she was good. You know, I think she enjoyed it too. It was like a social thing for her too. You know, but so she enjoyed it. You know.
Wow. Yeah, she was okay.
Being involved, I think, because she had 3 kids surfing. You know, 3 kids surfing, so she's like being there and talking to all the parents and she was on the committee for ages and ages.
I'm sure.
You know?
It must have been. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so she achieved a lot. I don't even know how many Gunstons she did. I must actually check that. She must have done a hell of a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think she even did the Belita Pro until like about, I think 4 years before she passed. I think she was still doing the totalizing at the Belita Pro.
Wow, man, that's amazing, Gary. She was.
You know. Yeah. So she went straight from the Gunston, and then it changed into the Belita Pro, and then she would do, I think it was in Durban. Remember, it was in Durban for a bit, then it changed up to Belita.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was it was Mr. Price. I think it changed to Mr. Price. Contest.
Yes, so now you're bringing back some old memories. Hey, Mr. Price, my goodness, hey, yeah. And then,
I think they sponsored it. Wasn't it? They sponsored it, I think.
Yeah. I actually can't remember. Goodness me, yeah. And then Gary, Peter Maisch. When did he hand over the reins to you at the factory, Gary? How did that all work? And when did he quit surfing and quit shaping and all that?
Well, my dad was quite a sporty person, like a sport. He did a whole lot of different sports. So I can't remember the last time he surfed, but he played a hell of a lot of golf too, you know.
Okay.
So so my grandparents from my dad's side was my grandfather was Tom was a good swimmer, and he played bowls, and he was a good tennis coach.
Okay.
So and then that's how my dad met my mom, because my mom also swam. She was in the competitive swimming.
Okay.
So that's how they met, because my dad and mom was swimming. And then so my dad always we always he would play tennis. I don't know what age he gave up tennis, but he did play tennis. But then he took up golf quite strongly.
Okay.
So he was playing golf, and I mean the coast here is like heaven for golf players. So he played golf like twice a week at least, you know. And then when he handed over the reins, I would say when I first came back from overseas, he wanted to hand over the boards to me. I said no, because I was like competing still, and I was shaping all over the place. I said no, rather not now. Then I think a couple years later, when he basically wanted to slowly pull away and concentrate on the fins, that's when he said no, I've got to take over now on the thing. So but we were all partners in the business, okay. You know. So he was just like a silent partner, basically. He would still, you know, something needs to be done, or call the shots, or whatever decisions that to be made. He'd still do that, but he would just step back and say he'd be playing golf and doing his thing, you know. But he'll come to the farm like once or twice a week and check how things are going, make sure everything's going okay. Okay. You know, but by that time, the business had slowed down. The fin exports had slowed down, so it wasn't as busy as it was before. You know, we had at the one stage, I think we had like 7 to 10 guys working on fins, and now at present we only got 1. You know. Wow. So the fins really like dropped out the bottom. You know, it was just the price war, and they just said it. You know.
Hey, such a pity, Gary.
Yeah. But that's the way things go.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. Yes, Gary. Yeah, bro. And then Gary, I got to bring this up, and I think I'll wrap up with this one. The number of times I've come up to the farm over the years, it's always you know what I say to some folks, if you're going to go to the coast to surf, you have to do a trip up to the farm. You got to do that. I don't know if people still do that, but the legend is, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, your old man used to have a Wednesday night a proper big pool table contest. Is that true? In one of the outside rooms?
Yeah. Yeah, we still at the table. That's a snooker table.
Okay.
So, but we used to play pool on it because pool's quicker. Yeah, Thursdays were a bit hard, sometimes. But, yeah, so it was, at that time, it was. It was like a good, everyone used to come out and play at those. We used to play pool. We had a leaderboard, like who was winning or whatever. It was a big draw. Basically, it was a big draw. We're still at the table. I haven't. People keep bugging me, and they've got to have a compo again, and I'm like, ooh, shit.
Hey, Gary, I remember being Sheppy High. We must have been standard 8, standard 9, and I remember a couple of the characters are Grant Wills or Gopher, and a couple of the guys used to tune me that they had been up to the farm for that Wednesday night gig. I used to, bro. I was like, not mesmerized, but I was like, no ways, bro. What's that all about? And it's just weird, growing up on the coast and hearing all these war stories. You know what I mean? It's quite amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it used to be a big joy. We used to have table tennis in the garage, play table tennis and play pool and drink beer. It was good. It was competitive. Where it gave a bit of edge. And we even had darts at one time too, like all three going at once.
No ways. Amazing, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yes, I got my one little artie's just woken up.
Same.
It's typical, bro. Awesome. I gotta love them, bro. Yeah.
No, it's good.
Yeah. Yes, it's Gary. Okay, well, listen, Gary. Hey, bro. Thank you for taking time just to share a little bit of your history and where you've been and what you've achieved in surfing. And
thank you.
Gary, for the Oaks listening here, how does someone contact you to get a board shaped? What's the details? How do they do it? If they want fins, where do they find your catalog? Just enlighten us, please, Gary.
No. Well, it's on the internet, www.maischfins.co.za or wedgesurfboards.co.za. Otherwise, probably the easiest is just to our contact details are on there.
Okay.
You just WhatsApp Justy or myself. That's probably the easiest, because we haven't got the laptop with us all the time.
Sure.
And WhatsApp is just quicker.
Okay.
That's the easiest way of doing it,
Okay.
And then, obviously the fins, our website has to be updated, but like the fin section and the board section is always changing. There's always new designs coming out.
Sure.
And we're always working on something new.
Okay.
And we specialize in the surfboard side, we specialize in surfboards. So
Sure.
it's a custom board made to your height weights, what kind of waves you're riding, custom design, things like that.
And Gary, just inform us here. You mainly doing epoxy resin, polystyrene.
Yes. Yeah, I do both. I'm open to do polyurethane as well.
Okay.
A polyurethane with polyester resin. But we do specialize in polystyrene epoxy resin.
Okay.
Just for the fact is that it's a lighter product. The polystyrene's lighter and the epoxy's stronger.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
And we find out we just get a lighter, stronger product if you look after it, and it lasts much longer than a polyurethane board.
Okay.
With normal resin, polyester.
And then Gary, as you're talking, I remembered my interview with Calvin where he said something about foils. Are you also shaping foil boards, Gary?
Yeah, I'm doing foil boards. So like Calvin and then John DeFilippi and Jay Steenkamp, Dion Manti, Stard, all those guys are all, and Justy. The foiling thing is catching on.
Okay.
I must say. It's a little bit expensive getting into it, and we are doing foil boards.
Okay.
I've done quite a few prone ones. That's like just normal catching wave ones. And the guys are winging. I've done quite a few winging boards too. So it's an ongoing process. I haven't started foiling myself yet. I have tried. I'm learning still, but I need to put time in and get going on it. So, but I can see the guys that are all starting it, they're hooked. I must say, it's like there's maybe one guy that's given up, that started it. The rest of the guys have learnt, and they're just stopping. They just want to go and get more and more and more.
Okay.
So, I think it's a good thing. It's like it's almost like kite surfing, and it started like it's all into it. But at least like this feels like you got two disciplines. You got the wing, with a foil. Yeah. And then you also can prone it when the surf's small, or any kind of surf actually. When it's a flattish wave, you can be standing riding a wave on a foil. So I was really enjoyed it. Having fun for sure.
Okay. No, lekker. Sweet, Gary. Hey, Brew, once again, thanks for your time. Been absolutely awesome.
No problem.
To catch up with you.
No, lekker. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, you know the old thing. As the phone call ends, probably 20 more questions will come to my mind. I'll go, man, I should have asked Gary this. Should have asked him that. Typical. You know what I mean? Anyway, Gary.
No, it's fine. You can always ask me later. That's cool.
No, one time. Listen, Gary. Shot my Brew. We'll catch up soon. And thank you.
Lekker, Carl. Thanks, man. Thanks, Carl.
Lekker. Sweet.